Most of the first act on Avatar 4 has been completed based on a recent article on Variety.com from producer John Landau. Avatar Theory here, hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day, and a full link to this article is in the description below if you guys want to check it out for yourself. But I've not yet read through this myself. I just got home recently and I saw this article on Variety, so I'm gonna go through this article bit by bit and pause here and there and just basically give some thoughts and comments on it. So the article starts, quote, most of the first act of Avatar 4 has been completed and most of the film has been designed, producer John Landau revealed at a press conference during the Busan International Film Festival on Thursday. Quote, we completed most of the first act of Avatar 4 and there were logistical reasons why we need to do that, end quote, Landau said in response to a question from Variety. Quote, we've designed most of the whole movie for Avatar 4, but we haven't actually filmed all of it, just the first act, end quote. So I know one of the things that have been said during multiple interviews is that the kids are gonna be in multiple films, so I do wonder, considering, kids do age pretty quickly if you have kids of your own. I don't have kids of my own, but I have nieces that has grown quite quickly, 2 years past and they are practically adults almost, and if the kids are going to be used in multiple films and if they're going to be the same timeline, during multiple films, they do want to use those actors and actresses during the scenes that they're going to be used in Avatar 4. So likely these scenes relate to the scenes involving the kids from Avatar. The article then continues, quote, Landau addressed the media after showcasing 15 minutes of footage from Avatar The Way of Water at a sold-out event at the festival, during which he talked up the cutting-edge technology used in the film. Director James Cameron appeared via video link at the event and discussed the film's underlying ecological message and also talked about the film's high frame rate projection. Later, Landau told the media, quote, we could not have delivered what people saw today 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. We needed the time to take it to the level that we're able to deliver to people today, end quote. Landau also revealed that each sequel would introduce a new culture while retaining the cultures introduced in the previous film. Quote, with each sequel, we're going to introduce audiences to new cultures and new biomes. We don't leave behind the cultures that we've met, end quote, Landau said. So just hopping onto those articles, it's interesting that, of course, the fact that technology constantly evolves, and if you've seen those mid-credit scenes of Avatar The Way of Water when you watched Avatar Remastered in 3D in IMAX recently, you will immediately notice the jump in the quality of not only the 3D, but just the visual effects. Just everything feels so much smoother, even though Avatar was remastered. And the remastered version looked significantly better than the original movie. Watching those sequences that was made today, basically, compared to, 13 years ago, this makes me highly excited to the future of the Avatar movies and what they want to introduce in those movies, where they want to go with the Avatar movies. The article then continues, quote, the producer also discussed the inclusivity of the Avatar films. For example, in Avatar The Way of Water, the protagonists are refugees who seek safe harbor with people who don't look like them and live differently than them. As filmmakers, we have a responsibility to use our art form to challenge people to see things differently, Landau said. And science fiction allows us the opportunity to be a metaphor for the world in which we live without preaching about it. Because if you preach, you only reach those who are already converted, end quote. So we know James Cameron is very much about the environment, and it does state in the article that they wanted he talks about the film's underlying ecological message. So it is important that the film is all about, it does make people feel inclusive in the film, because they do want people to feel part of the film, to feel for the characters, to feel for the world and the environment, regardless of where you're from, regardless of where you watch the movie. And the whole idea of The Way of Water, where Jake and Neytiri and their family goes to the Metkayina clan, they're they're also Na'vi, but they're different. They don't look like them. They don't act like them. They don't necessarily speak like them. They use, I mean, in a lot of scenes, in the post-credit scenes, we've seen the Metkayina clan use sign language and stuff like that, which the Sully family don't necessarily understand. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they not only adapt to the new culture, but the environment as well, the water vibe, the water tribes, and the water, everything relating to the Metkayina clan, the way they do things. And also, it's interesting, there's still the question as to why Jake and Neytiri really left their home area, why they went to the Metkayina clan. What's the real reason for going there? There's a lot of discussion and theories on that part, which I will talk about in a whole different video, because that can be a whole discussion on its own. But considering that most of the first act of Avatar 4 is completed, I do wonder in sense of, is there going to be another time jump in the Avatar movies? Because of course Avatar 1 and Avatar 2, there's about 13 years difference, not only in our lifetime but in the movie itself. And considering that each movie is going to release about 2 years apart from each other, I do wonder if they're going to stay in that time frame of, this movie takes place a couple of months, like Avatar 3 takes place a couple of months after Avatar 2. I'm not entirely sure on that part, or they're going to do something along the lines of, Avatar 2, 3 and the beginning of 4 takes place close to each other, and then there's like a 5-year gap, almost like Avengers Endgame did. You had that beginning chapter, the first act of the movie essentially, and then you had that 5 years later sequence, which really, when I remember when I watched Avengers Endgame, that kind of took me out of it, because we had so much happen in a span of a couple of years with all the superheroes coming out, and then all of a sudden they span 5 years and nothing really happened. No villains really came, no heroes really came out of hiding. Nothing really happened. So that kind of like took me out of the experience. I was a bit set back by it, but also at the same time they made it work for the movie. So at the end of the day, watching, if I rewatch Avengers Endgame now, I kind of more understand why they made the choice. So if Avatar 4 does the same thing, where the first act takes place shortly after the other movies, and they do a 5 or 10 years later, and the kids are maybe all grown up, and Jake and Neytiri is, if they of course live to make to Avatar 4, they're much older, they're on the edge of dying, basically. That might also be a bit of a shocking experience at first, but then if the focus shifts from the rest of the movie to the kids, and then Avatar 5 is also all about the kids all grown up now and their lives, and Jake's legacy, Jake and Neytiri's legacy, and maybe they die in the 4th film, maybe they die in the 3rd film, but their legacy continues, then that would make sense why they had to complete the first act with the kids still being kids essentially, and in the rest of the movie they film it with the kids all being grown up. But that is just my thoughts as to why they likely filmed the first, why they only filmed the first, but that is just my theory. But let me know in the comments below what you think, why you think they filmed the first act of Avatar 4 and what it relates to. Does it relate to the kids? Or let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And for more Avatar content, have a look at the rest of my channel. Until next time, have a fantastic day and stay safe.